Hey everybody, I'm Doug from the product team here at Sophos, and today we're going to be looking at how to use Sophos XG Firewall to protect Azure Blob Storage. A lot of companies have been shifting from traditional storage solutions to using storage services in the cloud, and the security of these services is really important, especially when large enterprises, partners, and IT professionals choose to store business-critical data in services such as Azure Blob Storage. Without appropriate security controls, the data stored in these solutions can easily be hacked and can result in a loss of revenue. So let's take a look at how to use Sophos XG Firewall to protect Azure Blob Storage. Now let's quickly walk through the network diagram where Sophos XG Firewall in Azure is deployed in the front-end subnet. A private endpoint is enabled on the WAN interface of XG Firewall, which connects to the blob storage to be protected. The internet access is restricted to the blob storage and is only possible with the custom domain mapped to Sophos XG Firewall. Okay, for this to work, you will need a Sophos XG Firewall, which is deployed and is in a running state in the Azure account. For detailed steps on how to do this, go to community.sophos.com and search for XG Firewall on Azure. You'll need a custom domain with access to its DNS setting. You'll need a blob storage running and deployed in preferably the same region as your Sophos XG Firewall. In the same blob storage, ensure that a container is created with a file uploaded for testing purposes. Copy the URL associated with the uploaded file, and then verify that you're able to access the contents of the file by navigating to the URL in the browser. Now back in the Azure portal with the blob storage settings open, navigate to Properties and click Copy against the blob service. And then copy the URL in a notepad, as this will be used while configuring WAF in Sophos XG Firewall. For the purposes of today's demo, a custom DNS name with the FQDN as blobazure.azurecloudtest.co has been created. In the left navigation of Sophos XG Firewall, click on Certificates under the System heading. In the Certificates tab, upload the certificate and the private key. Provide the passphrase, and then click on Save. Once the certificate has been uploaded successfully, navigate to Web Server under the Protect heading to create a WAF profile for the blob storage, and provide the following parameters in this page. Name, give it any descriptive name. For the host, click on Host, and then click on Create New, and select FQDN Host option. Provide a descriptive name, and provide the blob storage URL, which we copied as part of the previous step. Select the type as encrypted HTTPS, and then leave the rest of the settings as default and click on Save. Now you can also enable a host of inbuilt WAF protection policies or customize them by navigating to Web Server Protection Policies under the Protect heading. Click on Add and provide a name for the policy. Enable the relevant protection policies by sliding the bars to On. And you can enable antivirus scanning and choose between the scanning options to protect the traffic traversing to the blob storage. Next, navigate to Rules and Policies under the Protect menu. Create a new firewall rule. Provide a descriptive rule name and set the rule position to the top. And then from the Action dropdown, select the option for Protect with Web Server Protection. On the same page, scroll down to the Hosted Server section and fill in the following details. Provide the hosted address as port B and click on the checkbox for HTTPS. Select the uploaded HTTPS certificate from the dropdown, which will automatically populate the domain name. Scroll to the Protected Servers section and select the web server profile we created earlier. Additionally, you can select the protection policies from the dropdown and click on Save to complete the firewall configuration. Now you're going to copy the XG Firewall's public IP from the browser and save it in the notepad. This IP is used in DNS configuration in the next step. So then browse to your chosen DNS provider to access the DNS manager settings of your domain. Now you're going to add an A record to point the DNS to the Sophos XG Firewall's public IP copied from the previous step. Now let's look at limiting the access of the blob storage to be accessible via only the Sophos XG Firewall. Back in the Azure portal, let's navigate to Settings and then Networking and select the following options on the page. I'm going to choose the option to allow access from selected networks. Under the Virtual Networks panel, we're going to click to add an existing virtual network. I'm going to select the applicable subscription. Next, we're going to click on the drop-down to search for the VNet where Sophos XG Firewall is deployed. Under Subnets, we're going to click on the WAN subnet to enable service endpoints if they haven't been created already. Then click on Add. Now note here, the traffic to the blob storage will only be allowed from the specified subnet via the service endpoint. Click to save the changes made to the firewall in the VNet settings, and you can now access the blob storage files only via Sophos XG Firewall, ensuring that the transaction is safe and secure by the use of HTTPS and the configured protection policies. Now, to verify if the traffic is flowing via Sophos XG Firewall, navigate to the log viewer and select the web server module to view the WAF logs. The WAF should have an entry of the request to access blob storage that we made in the previous step. Now, if you need to troubleshoot, double check the NSG attached to the Sophos XG Firewall to confirm that port 443 is allowed. Also, verify that the firewall rules on Sophos XG Firewall allow communication from the blob storage. Hope you found this video useful. Check out more interesting cloud security videos on this channel and contact us at publiccloud@sophos.com for any further questions. Thanks for watching and take care.